What's up, guys? Welcome back to HB Sports. And today I'm going to make my predictions for the NFL Wildcard weekend as it's starting on Saturday, and it's going to be pretty great. I'm really excited for it. We got a lot of exciting games with the new expanded playoff. Instead of 6 teams in the conference, now there's 7, but there's one less bye. Only the first seed gets the bye. So it's going to be pretty interesting. 6 wildcard games. Although one thing I don't like about this year is because we have an 8-8 team and a 7-9 team getting in, so that kind of sucks. But as a Dolphins fan, I'm sure as a team that's 10-6, we could have gotten in, but it's all right. It's another story for another day. And before I get into my playoff picks, I want to just talk about the fact that the Dolphins offensive coordinator Gailey resigned a couple days ago. It was kind of crazy because there was this ESPN story a couple days before Gailey resigned. The day before Gailey resigned, that the Dolphins fired him, and Twitter was ecstatic. Everybody loved it because, I don't know, I guess Dolphins fan base really doesn't like Gailey. I don't really either, but that's another story. But anyways, everyone thought that Gailey got fired, but then ESPN said that they wrote an incorrect story, which made everyone irate on Twitter. I mean, someone even filed a fake lawsuit. It was hilarious, but Gailey ended up resigning anyways. And in my reaction, I didn't really get to talk about Gailey at all, so I just want to quickly cover it. So he was in the Dolphins organization head coach in 2000. And then again, from 2010 to 2012, he was the offensive coordinator who had the quarterback of, guess who, Ryan Fitzpatrick. So, obviously, as you can deduce, Gailey came and he wanted to help Ryan Fitzpatrick grow and try to help this team get better, I guess. And I think when Tua came in, that was a little bit of the issue. Gailey's offensive philosophy is more suited towards Ryan Fitzpatrick, 50-50 balls, throwing it up. Yeah, so it's not really, I don't think it really fit Tua. And I think that was the issue when it comes to Gailey. I don't think he's a terrible coordinator. He's all right. I mean, he's nothing special, though. And I hope he retires. I think he's done all right for himself. He's been in the league for a while, so that's all right. But that's all I gotta say for Gailey. He's fired. He resigned. We gotta look for another offensive coordinator. And other news for the Dolphins, people are saying that Deshaun Watson may come to the Dolphins, or what do you think if Deshaun Watson comes to the Dolphins? And my question is, what are you gonna do? I mean, what are you gonna do with Tua Tagovailoa? Because he's the quarterback. You want Watson to be the backup, or you want Tua to be the backup? That's a little crazy. And I don't know. Yeah, there were some rumors and speculations that Watson was unhappy with the way the Texans were hiring people. It was kind of confusing. And we already know he's disgruntled because of all the trades they've been doing, and they've been struggling a lot. And they're just wasting his talent. The guy's an all-pro, Pro Bowl and all-pro level player. So, I mean, hey, if we had the opportunity to get Deshaun Watson, I say I'm all in. But I do want to know what happens to Tua. I can't just leave him there. So it's another story for another day. And on to my playoff picks. We'll start first game of the day at 1 o'clock. Number 7 Indy at number 2 Buffalo. This is a pretty interesting game. Buffalo is favored by 6.5. I don't see why they shouldn't. They're on a tear. They're on fire. Their offense is unstoppable, and they're facing a pretty good defense. And I think the Bills will win this game. It's not that I don't see much of a problem. I think Buffalo has too much firepower, and they're on a roll. But something to look out for the Colts. This is pretty interesting. So if you look at the battle of the trenches, the Colts O-line versus the Bills D-line, who's the best player on the field? The answer is guard Quentin Nelson of the Colts. And I think we all know that Indianapolis is one of the best O-lines in the league, so they have a chance to dominate. And open up run holes for Jonathan Taylor today. And looking at the other side of the trenches, the Colts D-line versus the Bills O-line, DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle for the Colts, is the best player on the field as well. So thinking about it, in the trenches, the Colts have the best player on both sides of the field. So that's pretty interesting to take a look at. But the difference in this game is going to be Buffalo's offense throwing it against Indianapolis' defense. And I think Buffalo's offense will prevail. Josh Allen will have a great game as usual. As much as I want to go with the Colts as a Dolphins fan, it's kind of weird because all these years when you get to the playoffs and the Dolphins don't make it, you're cheering for the Pats to lose, but the Pats aren't in. So I guess it's time to cheer for the Bills to lose. I really don't know. Yeah, in terms of injuries for this game, we have a couple questionable players on both sides. For the Colts, DeForest Buckner is questionable. I think he should go. I don't really know for sure, but I think he should be good to go. I mean, this is a pretty big game, and they have a couple tackles out, so that'll be pretty huge. But we'll see how it goes for the Colts. And for the Bills, Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs, both questionable with lower extremity injuries. I think they'll be okay. I don't see either of them, possibly Cole Beasley, but I don't think he'll be out. He sat week 17 anyways, but I think they'll be fine. They'll be good to go. And I think the difference in this game is the Buffalo offense. The Josh Allen is going to throw the ball down the field. He's going to get big plays, and Buffalo's going to win 28-21. And that's what I think. Next game, LA Rams at Seattle Seahawks. 3 versus 6. Funny, they just met a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. They met a couple weeks ago. Seattle won 20-9, I believe, in Lumen Field in Seattle. That was a pretty low-scoring game. I think Goff broke his thumb or something. He played through a broken thumb, which is kind of crazy. But there probably is no Jared Goff, which is something to really. I want to get into my first point. So Jared Goff, they say he's questionable with an ankle. We'll see if he's good to go. But if not, John Wolford getting a second career start. First win came against Arizona in a must-win game. Very impressive by John Wolford. He did not to me. He played well. He's a dual threat quarterback, so I think it's something he can take advantage of, and I think he'll have a chance. The Seattle defense is getting better and better. It'll be tough to pass against this team, and they have one of the most sacks in the league. So it's gonna be they got to be careful. The Rams do. And for the other side, that may be the difference of the game. Seattle offense versus LA defense. LA is first in yards, first in points, first in yards per attempt, first in almost everything. It feels like with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on the field, there's only so much you can do. So Russell Wilson's gonna have to step it up. He had 2 very subpar games against the Rams. So I think after the Week 15 showing, both teams have a lot to improve on. Russell Wilson is having a great season, 40 touchdowns, and I think it will be tough for the the Rams offense to keep up. I think Seattle will score enough points. I don't think it will be overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that the Seahawks will win 20-13. I do want to pick the Rams, but I just think Seattle is a little more balanced, we'll say. I think they're a little more balanced, and their defense has improved leaps and bounds from the beginning of the season. So next game we got number 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Tom Brady against the Washington football team. Who knew? What a crazy season this is, and what a crazy season this will be in the playoffs. Washington at 7-9 to win the East after their thrilling win at Philadelphia. Obviously, I don't think we need to say what we need to say about what the Eagles did in that game, benching Jalen Hurts for absolutely no reason, but that's something else. It's going to be a pretty interesting game. There's one huge matchup we obviously want to see, Tom Brady versus Washington's pass defense. Washington's pass defense, one of the best in the league. They're second in yards per game. They're pretty good against the pass as well. They're second in the pass, yards per game. That is absolutely phenomenal. They are tough to pass on. Their offense is not the same story, but their defense will definitely help them get in the game. And they're one of the best when it comes to pressure. They got to be able to put the pressure on. So I don't see it being a problem for them. Personally, I think this team will be good to go in turn Washington. I think their defense led by Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, I think he's on the team. I don't know why I thought he isn't. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But yeah, so Washington, Chase Young, Ryan Kerrigan, they have a nice secondary. They will be tough to stop against Tom Brady. 40 touchdowns, 12 INTs. I believe Mike Evans is injured, so I don't think he'll be there. But they have Chris Godwin. They have a couple other weapons. Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski to help him out. And this offense has been clicking on all cylinders. Their offensive line is playing better. O-line, 4th in sacks allowed, pretty solid. But the Washington D, 47 sacks, 6th in the NFL. So they will be getting after the quarterback. And Chase Young, rookie sensation, has 7.5 sacks and 4 forced fumbles today. Something to look at again. It will be very interesting to see how this game will go. And although the Washington offense is suspect, but I think having Alex Smith will make a difference. And I think that the Washington football team will get the upset. This is the upset I'll be calling. For this weekend, I think Washington will get the win. Let's say 16-13. I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring game. And the recipe for success for Washington is stifling Tom Brady and making him very uncomfortable. And we could see him on the sidelines with his head down, along with all the team wishing what could have been for Tampa Bay. So I think the Washington football team gets the upset. Looking at the next one, man, this is going to be a phenomenal game. Game of the week. You got to pencil this one in at 1 o'clock on Sunday on ABC or ESPN. Baltimore at Tennessee, 4-5. I mean, it was a treat to watch. A great game in the regular season where Tennessee won in overtime with a big Derrick Henry run. It was a great game, back and forth. That was like a tale of two halves. This one, I think, is going to be much more tight throughout. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. So right now, Baltimore is favored by 3, and the over/under is 54. So a pretty high, decent in the high 20s. I think it will be. I think it's okay that Baltimore's favored, but this is going to be a very, very high-scoring game, very interesting game. Especially, I think it's important to see which offense gets the upper hand. The Ravens are as hot as ever, especially on the ground. They're number 1 in rushing yards per game, and Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, their 4 or 5-headed monster they have running the football is going to be a dangerous task for the Tennessee Titans defense, who has really struggled. I mean, they gave up 38 points in Week 17 to Tennessee. To Houston. They almost lost against the Texans. So they have to be very, very careful in this game if you're the Titans. And for the Titans offense, it of course starts with their freight train, Derrick Henry, their enforcer, their thumper. Derrick Henry is their everything on offense. And he's the guy. He runs the ship. He's their motor. Over 2,000 yards this season. I think he's only like the 10th player in NFL history to reach 2,000 yards. I mean, what a season, man. Absolutely phenomenal. He will be a big key against this Baltimore Ravens defense, which is 8th against the run. So they're pretty good against the run. In the past as well, Ryan Tannehill. Look for Ryan Tannehill to stretch the field as well. He's been great this season, and as a Miami Dolphins fan, I know all about Tannehill and how Tannehill didn't pan out, and he went to the Titans where he is now, and he's doing absolutely phenomenal. The guy's having a Pro Bowl season. Just phenomenal, and I love Ryan Tannehill. I do, and I have no animosity towards him. And this is going to be such a good game. Right now, I really don't know. I mean, it can go either way. It's a very back and forth. Baltimore is the more balanced team when it comes to offense and defense, but you never know. Tennessee has a chance. If they get their defense up to par and play well against the Ravens and play disciplined, I think they'll have a chance to be moving on to the next round. And I don't know. There are some injuries for the Ravens. They have guard, two guards that are questionable, and cornerback Jimmy Smith. So it's going to be interesting to see if everyone gets back. But for this game, I got to go with the Tennessee Titans. They, I guess you can say, get the upset. It's such a close game. I wouldn't call it an upset. But give me Tennessee 31-28. Okay, next game we got number 2 New Orleans, number 7 Chicago. And I think this one's going to be quick because I personally am very low on Chicago. I just don't think they're good. I think they're more fraud than a contender. They're more of a pretender than a contender, should I say. They had a couple easy games to get themselves into playoff contention, and they kind of plopped the bed against Green Bay, as everyone expected, although they had a nice start to the game. I don't have much stock into this. I think their defense for sure is getting better. Again, they gave up so much to Green Bay. So again, what does it really say? Against a New Orleans squad that came off a couple nice wins. They're getting better. Drew Brees is getting into form after his injury. And I think this team is poised. I think this may be the year. I mean, the Saints don't really have a choice. But if there's a year you want to pick the Saints, this may be it. Just because you got to give them a shot. Because if they don't win this year, when are they going to win? It's the real question. I think this may be one of the last years for this team. It's going to be an interesting game for sure. I'm not going to deny that it's not an interesting game. But I think the Saints have clearly the upper hand. They're 5th in passing yards against. They're 4th in rushing yards against. So I don't see Chicago moving the ball much. And I think lean on Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray to handle the rock and look for Taysom Hill to make some razzle-dazzle plays to get them over the hump. I don't think it's going to be necessarily tough. I see this game being 27-17 New Orleans. They're favored by 9.5. I see them covering the spread. And on to the last game, we have number 6 Cleveland Browns going to the playoffs for the first time since 2002 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Faltering, but still getting the first round bye, winning the AFC North. Sorry, not first round bye, still getting the top 4 seed and finishing 12-4, even though they had a disappointing last couple 4 or 5 games. That win against Indy was very huge to get them back on track. And this is going to be a pretty interesting game. Actually, Juju Smith-Schuster referred to the Browns. I don't know how the exact quote, but he referred to the Browns as nobodies, essentially. He said, who are on the Browns? I don't know. And he basically took a shot at Cleveland. And can you blame them? The amount of people that are on the COVID list. I mean, I didn't know which receivers were on the field last game either. I mean, they were playing with their top 5 wide receivers out against the Jets. No excuse to lose, but they still did. But I think this is going to be a pretty interesting game. For Cleveland, look for them to run the ball. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, their two-headed stud running attack. I don't think it's going to be interesting just because Pittsburgh is just around top 10. They're 11th in rushing yards per game, and they're really good against the pass as well. But I think look for Pittsburgh to blitz. Look for TJ Watt to get on the edge. He's a force to be reckoned with. 2 great defensive players on both sides of the ball. And yeah, TJ Watt. Look for TJ Watt to wreak havoc. Look for them to really pound the box. Get there in there. Get as many guys in the box as possible. Rush 6, 7, 8. I don't see them not doing that. And force Baker Mayfield to win the game, because he's been all right. But I think if you force Baker Mayfield to make huge plays on his own, that's your recipe for success for the Steelers. And looking at the Steelers' offense, led by Big Ben, he had a huge win against the Colts. I mean, it was so much needed after the 3 absolute blunder games. I mean, against 2 pretty teams and 1 good team in Buffalo. But still, a little disappointing stretch there, and it was a big win they needed. And the key for the Steelers is downfield shots for them. I think they're going to have to take downfield shots. They showed it against Cleveland, even though Mason Rudolph was in. They showed it against the Colts. It's clear what they need to do. They have a very subpar running game. They're last in the league in rushing. I mean, James Conner hasn't really got many running holes this season, but that's why it's kind of going to be on Big Ben. But you want to see Roethlisberger really take what the defense gives him, but you got to go deep, Because in the games they lost, they did not try any deep shots. They could not move the football at all. When you have no running game, you need that complement. You need that deep threat that keeps the defense honest. And that's what Pittsburgh will need to do. And I think they will do it. I do. I think Cleveland is a alright defensive team. I mean, nothing great. They're middle of the pack when it comes to yards, but they're 22nd against the pass, which I see that Pittsburgh will exploit. And I think that'll be the difference. I think that Pittsburgh wins 24-20. I think this game will be closer than what many people think. I mean, some people are thinking Cleveland somehow gets the upset. I disagree. Pittsburgh's favored by 6. I think Pittsburgh wins 24-20. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty exciting slate. Wildcard weekend coming for you Saturday and Sunday. I may do a live stream reaction of one of the 1 o'clock games or both. I'll see if I have time. But yeah, we're going to have a really interesting set of games, especially in the AFC. I think the AFC sets up for pretty nice matchups, some dark horse teams, and you got to look for one upset. Will it be Washington? Will it be Tennessee? Because Baltimore's not favored. Will it be Cleveland with the upset? So we have a lot of interesting games. Stay tuned. And yeah, enjoy Wildcard weekend.